This is The Breakthrough Artists with CJ Lloyd Webley.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Breakthrough Artists podcast. We are here today with the one and only Pete Komolafe. I'm so excited for this podcast. For those who aren't new to the or are new to the podcast, I kind of like to get down to the nitty gritty. Mm-hmm. You know, you've got a very interesting journey, you know, a very inspirational journey, which I'd hope that we can get into. But there's also lots of other areas of your life that, you know, and things we've talked about personally, I think would be interesting to come out on this podcast. But without further ado, I always ask a guest what their favorite drink is, what they would like to kind of have as a beverage whilst we deep dive into this conversation. You've chosen Super Malt, which was sitting nicely in the BPP community fridge. Tell me a little bit about why Super Malt and how you...
Because Super Malt takes me back to my days in Nigeria. Okay. And it was just one of those drinks. I hated it the first time I tasted it. But it's like, as you get older, I don't know, maybe it's like an acquired taste, but every time I see one, I have to buy one. Okay. So my local Tesco's used to have like a section where they would have like crates of these. I'd go in and buy like 2 or 3. My partner hates it. She doesn't like the taste of it. But yeah, this just takes me back to like my days in Nigeria, my childhood a little bit. There's a lot of nostalgia when I think about Super Malt.
So, you know, we've got this stocked at the shop now, so does that mean you're going to frequent?
Of course, man. Whenever I'm in Birmingham, I'll be coming to pick up a few for sure.
Amazing. Well, without further ado, let's have a little sample of this.
Yeah, man.
And they've got the new twist tops.
They've got the twist tops. I was going to say, do I have to open this with my team?
Cheers it first,
because that's what we used to do in Nigeria. We'll open it with our teams.
And for a little disclaimer, my boy Ashley, who normally does my camera, he unfortunately wasn't here today, so Pete has been helping me a lot behind the scenes. I've got to give him a little plug for that as well.
Man.
But yeah, let's cheers this and let's give it a little sample.
Thank you, man.
My favourite drink also.
It's that richness.
Yes.
It's the richness that you taste. Like, it's nice.
There's other variations though, isn't there? What's your thoughts on those? You've got the Mighty Malt, you've got the...
I like this one the best. I just feel it, I don't know. The other ones just don't, it doesn't have that richness come running through it like this one does. So this is my favourite one of all.
The other ones I find can be a little bit sweet. They're a bit...
That's true.
Bit more, slightly just more sugar in it. But again, we do plug these things, but this is actually a drink that was founded in Denmark, and it's definitely white owned, but it's in the BPP store now, so we own it.
Of course. You know, and it is non-alcoholic as well.
Yeah, non-alcoholic.
Just to state that.
Non-alcoholic beverage. You can go and research. But anyway, so the reason I wanted to get you on the podcast is because I find your journey, not just from when I've known you, but from prior to that. I know you've done your documentary series, which you did on YouTube. But tell me about the last, let's say, 2-3 years or since COVID, because I know you came out of employment and then you had to take on this social media kind of task, this whole like social media world. But what's your view on like how that's all come about?
Mate, COVID has been extremely kind for me. If I look back at it now, I followed my gut. So at the back end I was actually working here in Birmingham.
Wow.
I was working for an investment house literally just across the road here. And
that was before Canary Wharf?
No, this is after Canary Wharf.
Okay.
So this is in 2019.
Okay.
So I was there, I was enjoying it, I was earning good money. Was I enjoying it? I had days when I liked it, days when I absolutely hated it. To be honest, the people that I was working with just didn't see the bigger picture. And so at the back end of 2019, I just had this gut feeling that you've been speaking about, you know, wanting to do YouTube or wanting to do social media for years and you haven't done it. And I decided to take a YouTube course at the end of 2019. So, and at the same time, I also got headhunted from that investment house to go work for another investment house. Wow. So I thought it's something new. I'll be using another skill set that I haven't quite really utilized in my career. I thought it was a great move. Little did I know that obviously when I was on holiday, Christmas, New Year's 2019, COVID was already a thing, but we didn't know it was going to shut the world down come March. So COVID has been extremely kind to me in the fact that I started the journey in January 2020 without knowing what was going to happen. And ultimately, I had a captive audience. My vision was to talk about finances and people were basically locked at home, thinking, well, hey, what do I do? Type thing. So it's been really, really interesting. And 2020 was amazing. 2021 was even more amazing because the YouTube channel just exploded. Like the views.
Why do you think that was? Do you think it was because of COVID people were seeking out that information?
I think so, yeah. I think people were, because obviously we had lockdowns, people were very aware of their financial situation. And I just happened to be creating content around investing and just general finance that people were tuned into. I mean, you didn't have anything else to do at home. So the attention on YouTube was massive.
Yeah.
And I benefited from that. So 2021 was amazing. I mean, if we talk about YouTube and making money, I made no money in 2020. The channel got, I think, monetized, and I think it was about the June or so. But what I earned wasn't anything to write home about.
Did you set out on YouTube because you wanted to monetize it?
Not really, no. Look, I never do anything purely because of the money. I think if you start something like this with the aim of, I want to make money, you're going to set yourself up for disappointment purely because it's so hard. It's difficult. It's hard work. It's so stressful. I really was interested in trying to share all the stuff that I've learned through my 15-year career and put it in my words, hopefully being simple enough for people to understand and be able to take into account. So monetization, it was important, but it wasn't the most important thing. Building a brand, getting my name out there, sharing my knowledge were really the most important things to me at the time. I just believe that money comes as a byproduct of good work. So for the first year, it was all about building. 2021 changed completely.
Did you know at that time that you had a very powerful niche? Not only one being a person of color, a black man in this industry, and also doing the YouTube from the UK with your backstory, but also the fact that nobody was really breaking it down like that. Did you know you had a niche?
Actually, no. I remember having a chat with my mate Mike, and I was like, this is what I'm thinking of doing. I'm like, I don't want to be on camera. Because look, social media is a horrible place, right? I'm thinking people are going to take the piss. They're going to, they're not going to listen to me and all that kind of stuff.
Did you get any of that?
You know what? In 3 years, no.
Okay.
Nobody really debates me. And I think that's because my work speaks for itself. But my mate Mike said to me, actually, you should be on camera because you don't look like the traditional financial advisor. People will be able to relate to you, be able to relate to your journey. And actually, he was right. The community that I have managed to build, it's still a very small community. My channel isn't the biggest. There are other people that do kind of exactly what I do who are way, way bigger. I'd like to think that I've got a really engaged community. And so, you talk about comparing yourself with other people. I try not to do it every day, but it is hard when you put so much effort into things like that. But
what would you be comparing yourself to if you were gonna, as you're trying not to, what is it that you're trying not to
look,
do?
In an ideal world, for the amount of work that goes into building a YouTube channel and running a podcast, the most important thing is, how many people are you reaching?
Okay.
Because that is a measure of the impact and the engagement that you get and the amount of people you can touch and hopefully help. So when you look at it from the very, very high level of, is your YouTube channel or your podcast successful? It is about reach and engagement. So when you think about YouTube channels or podcasts, you're looking at view count. So view count per videos. I'm in a situation where at the moment, and I battle with this every single day, I get between 1,000, 2,000 views per video. But if I compare myself to other people in the niche who maybe don't have my expertise, they're getting 10,000, 15,000, 100,000 views per video. That's difficult to deal with. It really, really is. And I have to kind of take solace in the fact that I am on a different path. And actually over the last 3 years, 2022 was amazing because TV came knocking.
Of course.
The show
how did that come about?
Oh mate, you know what? It was a Sunday evening. I was knackered. I went downstairs. I thought I'm going to throw on the PS4 and just kick out on Warzone, right? And I was like, I need to check my email. So I checked my email on my website. Right? I'm so bad at checking my emails on my website. And there was this email in there saying, show for Channel 4. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me have a look at this. And it was like, I'm a producer from a production company. We were doing a show on Channel 4. We'd love you to be involved. I looked at when they sent the message on the website, it was like the Wednesday.
Wow.
So it's Sunday night and I'm thinking, crap, I've missed this.
Yeah.
So I emailed back really, really quickly. I said, look, sorry for the delay. I'd be interested to have a conversation with you. We jumped on a call on the Monday. They're like, oh yeah, we think you're going to be great. Can you come down to London on the Tuesday? So I went down on the Tuesday, and then on the Wednesday morning, they're like, yeah, we'd love you to be on the show. We've cleared it with Channel 4.
That's the beauty about having flexibility, isn't it? Because if you weren't doing the social media and you weren't kind of creating your own entrepreneurial space, these opportunities, you'd have to go to the line manager, you'd have to say, look, I need to book this time off. So do you think that actually by moving away or steering your career away from like the conventional route has actually opened up more?
100%. I mean, look, I was very acutely aware that I can't do what I do now if I was still in a professional role. If I was advising, it wouldn't work. Purely because from a compliance point of view, there are certain things that they won't allow you to say. And I wanted to be able to be free of the shackles to say what I want to say and express myself in the way that I wanted to express myself and talk about things from like just a base human level without all of this technical jargon and all this kind of stuff. Like, what does it actually mean? And so I knew that I had to kind of step away. But the reality is, at the time, you know, golden handcuffs, that's a real thing, right? You're earning really good money and you're going to give this up for what? Something that you have no guarantees are going to work. And I think that's the position that a lot of business owners or budding business owners or entrepreneurs find themselves in. You're going to go for something that is like your sure thing to something where it might not work. Do you really want to give all of that up? But I was at a stage where, like I said, in 2019, I just had this real gut feeling. It was like, you have to do it. And in 2019, I started on YouTube doing 1-minute videos every single day just to test the theory. If I put a 60-second video out on YouTube every day, would people listen? And so in testing, I kind of knew people are paying attention. It's getting traction. So I thought, I need to go long form now.
You'd already done some groundwork before that though, because you'd done the YouTube course. What did you kind of learn on that course?
So at the time, I mean, the YouTube algorithm changes all the time, but in 2019, 2020, it was mainly all about how do you rank your videos on YouTube. So keyword research, how you structure your titles so that it ranks for the keyword, so that when people go and search, your channel has the best chance of ranking. Because look, let's face it, if you think about some of the really big people in finance, I'm thinking of the American guys, Graham Stephan, Andre Jek. Those are the people that often people look to when you think about finance YouTubers, right? My video on should you overpay your mortgage, for example, or what's going on in the stock market this week, is never ever going to rank in comparison to someone like that. So the course is also about how do you select your topics based on your channel size to be able to get the views to grow your channel in the first place. So it was an expensive course, but I've earned that back 100 times over by now, 1,000 times over by now. It was a worthwhile investment.
So where do you see yourself now in that space? So you're saying you're not necessarily at the level of those guys, but where would you position yourself if it was?
Look, okay, so I'm acutely aware that this is all relative, right? And for people looking outside, they'll be like, what are you talking about? But in the grand scheme of all of the channels, so I was reading the stat the other day, there are over 50 million channels on YouTube.
50 million.
So it's extremely competitive. I don't know how that breaks down into the finance sector for what I do. But if I look at it in the scheme of things, my channel is minuscule. It's minuscule. And I would like to grow that. But at the same time, it is also true that your subscriber count is a vanity metric. It doesn't really mean anything. What really matters is reach, engagement, views, those kind of things. And that's the bit that I'm trying to find a way to push a little bit further now. But like I said, I'm thankful for my community because they are truly engaged. Those are the people that want to know the detail, want to know the practical things that they can do to better their finances, not a lot of these channels that talk about get rich quick or 10x your stocks. And, you know, there's so many controversial topics that I just stay clear of.
So there's a lot of people that I work with when I'm doing my programs, and they say they're when I talk about I do a program called The Introvert's Guide, and I support people to be a bit more confident on social media and different techniques you can use to present yourself a little bit more confidently. And the one thing that I normally get back is people don't want to give too much value because they feel like they...
I know what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to say. Right, so listen, maybe to my detriment, I give away way too much for free.
Yeah.
To the point, I literally sat down with people and they're like, so how do people buy things from you? And I'm like, if I look at it, I'm changing it now because I've had to.
Yeah.
But if I look at it, if you watch one of my videos and you really wanted to know how to do something, I give all the information away. I'm not like, oh, by the way, you have to book me as your coach, or you have to buy this to get this. And look,
do you think those days are over, that kind of approach?
You know what, man? I just don't know. I just feel like I feel like it's, to a certain extent, it's disingenuous if you say you're creating content to better people, but then you kind of have like this, you're holding the critical stuff behind. That doesn't sit too well with me. And so I mentioned that I'm changing it. The only thing I'm changing is now on my website, people are now asking, do you do coaching?
Okay.
So now it's going to be on my website, what I do in terms of coaching. I'm building behavioral tests now because the psychological part of finances is very, very important. Actually, it's pivotal. So I'm putting more of those things out in the open now. But yeah, people just, look, each to their own. I just don't feel as though I have to do that necessarily to be financially successful. And again, being financially successful isn't the most important thing to me. I mean, if it was, at the beginning of this year, someone offered me £500,000 to incorporate my YouTube channel into what they're doing as a wealth management firm, and I said no.
Wow. That's integrity though, isn't it? How important is integrity in the work that you're doing? Because I remember there was, obviously you did a program for us on the Academy, and there was a lot of talk about crypto, where people should go, and you were talking about, I love that term you use, cowboys, cowboys that are using this crypto thing to better them, there's no real, regulation around certain things, and it's people that have obviously been fleeced out of their money. So I imagine in your line of work, you must get approached all the time to promote things. And
hey, listen, man, I'm happy to talk numbers if you want to get into numbers. But let's put it this way. In 2021, when obviously people were still at home at that point, and like investing was going nuts. I used to turn down daily emails. The most someone's offered me for a 5-minute video was 15 grand. And I used to get multiples offers for these. And most people will be like, listen, if I calculated this once, if I said yes to everything that I said no to, I would have earned probably an extra £250,000. That's serious money. But for me, I've worked in the financial services industry. I am a qualified financial advisor. I understand what regulation is, and I understand the importance of it. And I think my background, I don't want to be associated with anything that could potentially damage my brand, or someone could come back and be like, well, you said this, and this happened. And whilst people need to take ownership over their own decisions, if I'm the one who introduced something to them, I feel like I still have a burden of responsibility. And so I said no to a lot of that stuff. I still say no to a lot of stuff today because it isn't about money.
I hear you.
It's about what impact can I have? Does it truly feed in and align with what I want to do, what I want to be known for, which is being as helpful as possible, breaking down the jargon, giving people real practical help when it comes to their finances. That's really what it's all about. And if you have a product or a service that doesn't necessarily tie into any of that, there's no point.
Well, let's break it down then. Let's talk real then, because a lot of people talk about they blame their financial situations on the government, their economic circumstances. Of course, that plays into it. But I actually, so another thing that I do is I'm a reseller of trainers. During COVID, I was going to the post office 5-6 times every couple of weeks with like
Jordans.
And I don't, why are people so, what's the word I'm looking for? Why are people so frivolous ultimately? Because you don't have it.
This right here is a really interesting topic, and there are so many facets you can go down, right? But I'm going to probably put this into two main camps, and you'll be able to relate to this, and most people watching will be able to relate to this, certainly from our background. There is a cultural element to this, right? I think when I look at my own personal experience, when I was coming up, I was watching all of the rappers, Diddy, B.I.G., Mace, Tupac. What does success look like from those guys? It's chains, it's flashy things, it's looking the bee's knees, right? That's what success looks like. And I think to a certain extent, there is a cultural, I guess, expectation or image of what success looks like. And because of that, we focus more on the material things as a validation point for maybe some of the things that we've experienced in our past. Now, if you're like me, we grew up dirt poor. We had no money, right? And I talk about this in my book. I talk about the fact that when I was 6 years old, I learned my first lesson of money, and it basically instilled scarcity. It reminded me, we don't have money. My best mate next door, his dinner time smelled amazing. He was eating steaks, lamb chops. I looked at our dinners, we're having beans on toast and spaghetti hoops, right? So at 5, 6 years old, I'm like, we have no money because we can't afford the dinners that Glenn's having. Scarcity mindset. And I think for a lot of us, where we do come from underprivileged backgrounds, that is a really, really big factor. And so what we do is when we find ourselves earning some money, or we have some money set aside, we go and buy the Jordans because, hey, listen, I'm going to wear these things, I'm going to look sick, I'm going to look like the man, you know what I mean? It's an image thing.
Don't get me wrong, I've got a pretty good sneaker collection, but I've kind of got to a point where I understand now the dangers of trying to look like you've got it when you really don't. Because there's certain people that will, they'll go into the shop and they'll put down a drink that's £1.20, but then they'll go and buy the Jordans, they'll go and buy the Dunks, but how do we break that cycle? Like, what are some practical things you can do? Let's say a young person, really wants to be successful. How do they break that cycle of wanting to appear successful before they actually are?
Yeah, good question. And this kind of brings us on to the second thing that I was going to break it into.
And it's not just young people, so
it's everyone really. Look, I think when you talk about finance and personal finance specifically, there is a really, really big element when it comes to the psychology behind it, right? And behaviors that you get. So again, I've talked about the fact that when I was five years old, I noticed my next door neighbor had better dinners than ours. It set a scarcity mindset. When I was younger, that didn't really matter. But when I'm earning good money now, that does matter, because I have been the guy that I've spent £1,000 on a pair of trainers. I'll buy a £1,000 pair of a suit, right? To look good, to fit in.
Is there a difference, by the way, with a £1,000 suit and like a off the rack index?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, to be fair, there is. The tailoring is so much more on point.
Because you've got some sharp suits, though. I don't know if you are doing off the rack now, but they are sharp suits. But
yeah, they are sharp suits, but there is a difference. There is a big difference, just in terms of the fit, the tailoring. Everything's different, right? But I think it's really important to key into, if you can, try and ask yourself what your earliest memory around money is. What's that first lesson that you learned? It will tell you a lot. It will tell you a lot. And I think fundamentally, the main idea here is you're not in competition with anybody but yourself. I think there's too much, certainly with social media now.
What does that actually mean?
Well, look, on social media, I think there's a lot of this keeping up with the Joneses. You look at someone else on holiday, you look at someone else going to certain places for dinner, you look at someone, wearing a particular watch, you don't know whether it's real or fake. I mean, fake ones these days can be so convincing, right? Driving certain cars, and there is this automatic, well, I should be doing that. I think we need to try and find a way to really break away from that idea and understand that you're not in competition with the person that you're seeing, online. You're in competition with yourself. Who do you want to be 3 years from now? that's the person you're in competition with. And I generally say to people, look, especially when I'm coaching, where do you want to look at your life now? Where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years' time? Write everything down, picture board it. What type of person are you?
Yeah.
How have you developed? What skills have you picked up? What progression have you made during your, business or your work career? Where are you?
Yeah.
That's your goal. Not some dude on Instagram or some dude that you see driving around where you live. That's not the competition. It's you. But you need to be able to be visionary enough to be able to picture yourself in at that fate. And the beautiful thing is, you start to learn that once let's just say you set your goal of 3 years and you achieve that.
Yeah.
Trust me, the confidence boost that you get, and you can repeat that process because it's the same thing. You simply transport yourself from that point 5 years into the future, and everything you did to get that 3-year journey, you repeat and improve on for the next 5-year journey. And that's really what I would say to people. Control the controllables, control what's in your realm, and don't worry about what other people are doing.
Would you say you're a very organized person then, in terms of because one thing, I was speaking to a lady called Karen. Do you know Karen Dorr?
Yes.
So she helps us with our fundraising and things like that. But I was saying, I love the way Pete does stuff. It's very clean. It's very on brand. Everything is just clean.
Bro, you saying this makes me smile because trust me, man. Trust me, it's just me. It's just me, and sometimes it feels like my head is just in pieces. And people say this all the time. It's like, dude, yo, you got this on point, and I'm like, internally, it's chaos. You've got the saying about a swan on a lake, so gracefully just gliding along, but underneath it's panic. That's what it feels like sometimes for me.
It's good that you're able to be self-reflective in that way, but from what I see, it's inspirational because I'm I want to clean up my stuff. My stuff is fine, it's me, you know what I mean? I'm very sporadic in the things that I do, and that's kind of what makes me me, but I just, there is I wish I was a little bit more, I guess, if I was to change some things, I'd like to have a little bit more clean branding like you do, but you've come from the corporate world.
Yes.
As well.
I mean, that did help for sure. Because I do want to make sure that the branding and everything is on point. I changed my branding this year.
Okay.
Because it was Conversation of Money before, but I've been doing TV, so what I realized was people were searching my name, then conversation was coming up, and it was like, well, how do you connect that? So it made sense to brand to my name. And then I was like, okay, so Peter Komolafe,
let's clean that up a bit.
It's clean, but how from a brand point of view, how do you put that across? What does that actually look like? So I went to a branding company not far from me actually, and they came up with the P with the speech bubbles.
But this is what I mean. It's you identify a problem and you find the solution, whereas what I try and do is I identify a problem and I'm trying to do everything, and it's how do you know when to say, right, I'm seeing the problem there.
But you know what? I'll let you into a little secret. I came up with Conversation of Money, literally back end of 2019. I decided to do YouTube, and I needed a name. And Conversation of Money was the first thing that rolled off my tongue.
It's an amazing
because I was like, okay, what are we doing? We're talking about money, and I want people to know this is what we talk about unapologetically. And we're going to talk about it as people. So Conversation Money just rolled off the tongue. But I knew it's too long. It's hard to kind of encapsulate into something that's short and coherent. I've got another brand called Money Intelligence.
Okay.
That's beautiful, clean, right? Money intelligence, perfect, right? Conversation of Money wasn't that. So I knew it was a problem for 3 years, but I ran with it for 2 years. And then obviously the TV stuff starts happening. I'm like, I need to fix this. So in the end, it was like, okay, I need to look for a branding agency who could actually do the work on the branding. And that's how we came up with the current logo.
So you did go with what you had. You worked with what you had. And then when you identified, right, I'm reaching a new audience now. I'm going into a new kind of phase of my career. How did they do your branding then?
So I was really skeptical with this, right? Because I was like, you're going to charge me thousands of pounds to do this work, but how good is it actually going to be? But they said, we run like a workshop. We asked you some questions about your brand. And I walked out of that workshop and I was really, really impressed with the question, because they get you to think outside the box to explain what you do.
What kind of questions?
It was kind of like, if you had to explain your brand or in a color, what would that color be? If you had to talk about your brand and it was like an animal, what kind of animal would that kind of stuff, right?
Sounds like when I used to do the theatre workshops, and you make the kids like you tell them be a swan, and they all have different interpretations of that.
So it was that, and so what they successfully did is they took my name Pete, so my initial P, and because obviously it's conversation of money is at the core of what we're doing, they incorporated speech bubbles into the P, and we ended up with that branding, and I love it. I use that word mark on everything now because it's so aligned to what I do.
Yeah, and you could even have a T-shirt with it.
I ain't got round to the merch yet, bro. I will though.
Yeah, so I mean, I want to move on shortly onto something that I think is a very pressing issue right now. You did touch on it briefly in terms of the black community and finances, but what are you most proud of currently in terms of your journey to this point?
Oh, good question. There's a few things actually. I only pause because I constantly have to remind myself of the journey of the last 3 years, because it's very easy to get into this cycle of, what's next? There's a few things. Look, when I first started in 2020, I was like, if I could write a book, that would be amazing. If I could have a regular slot on TV, that would be amazing. Didn't think either of those things would happen for probably 3 years from now, so 2026. 6 years in, I might have the brand and the awareness for someone to actually give me the opportunity. Both of those things happened. Well, one happened in 2020. I started off doing Secret Spenders, but then Steph's Pack Lunch came along in the summer. And it was 1 week, come in for 1 week, come the following week, come the following week, and then we'll book you for 3 months. And then, it's been 10 months on that show as a regular slot as a financial expert. Dude, like, I used to be homeless, I'm fostered. Like, I don't have a university degree. It's incredible. Not to mention then, the day that my book is due to be released, Steph then sits down with me and interviews me on national TV to talk about my book and my journey. It's like
surreal.
It's mate, I was quite emotional that day because it was such a weird thing. It's March 16th. It should have been my regular slot on the Thursday, and then I see after the end of the day on Amazon my book sales, and it's like top 50 on all of the books on Amazon. It's incredible. So when I think about the book, bestseller for sure, really, really proud of that. The work that I've been able to do in the media space, definitely proud of that. Those would be the main things really that I think to be proud of. And just the fact that people often will message me really nice messages like, you've really transformed my finances and you've been a massive help. You've helped me see sense and helped me understand what I need to do. People have tripled their earnings listening to me. People have progressed through different, promotions because of me. People have got on the property ladder because of me. And when I get those messages, particularly because it can be very, very stressful, those kind of messages really make my day, because I am on my own. I work at home on my own all the time. Like, I don't see outside what I'm doing. So to get that feedback it makes it all worthwhile, especially when I'm stressed out and I just feel like I want to quit.
Well, that's really deep, because it's so layered, isn't it? It's only when you really reflect, because I can relate when I'm sitting in this store here. I'm thinking, man, wish these lot would just come and sell their stuff. But you're dealing with people, and at times it's a challenge. But I guess there is also that feeling of isolation. But then when you get those messages and you get you reflect back on how far you've come in the journey, you do understand like why you are doing what you're doing. Gives you more of a purpose. But tell me about the book and how that works. How does the kind of getting a book deal work?
All right, so like I said, it was a pipe dream, right? I was like, it would be good if I could write a book one day.
Were you writing something anyway?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I had the outline for it, so I had the idea.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to write a book that was going to be formulaic.
Yeah.
So it like formula with some key steps, with some practical stuff. And I also wanted to make sure that I shared my own journey. Because I was like, there's no point in me writing a book, which is all about finance.
Yeah.
But then there's no personal journey to let people know, well, actually, this stuff actually works. So I wrote the first draft, the outline of the proposal of the book it was Christmas 2020. And it was there. I just left it. And then I did Secret Spenders. No, 2021 I wrote the proposal. I did Secret Spenders in 2022. Then got like an agent and publicity team behind me. And they were like, oh, if you ever want to write a book, we have a literary agency that we work with. Wow. And I was like, oh, yeah, I have been thinking about a book, actually. Yeah. That would be really, really nice. So like, okay, so do you have a proposal? I'm like, I've got an outline. He goes, look, meet with the agency first. The agency said, look, this is what you need to give us. So I wrote the outline. They then send it out to publishers. And I was on Lorraine, right? I did Lorraine for like 4 weeks. And the editor who ended up picking up my book saw me on Lorraine. I was like, I like him.
Wow.
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
We need to do a book with him.
Wow.
And she just happened to get my proposal. Wow. And she was at HarperCollins, the second largest publisher in the world. Yeah. And that's how it all came about, really.
That is amazing. And that's the thing. It's about being in the right spaces at the right time. Also having things ready, because you just never know that when it could happen. Also having that vision, having that dream. It's just inspiring, bro. There's so many things that we could speak about, but the pressing issue, I'm going to have a little sip of the supermalt here because we need to delve into this. Right. So, me, sometimes I put videos out on social media.
That's one thing I love about you. You don't shy away from the smoke. No. And I think I said that to you on one of your comments. It's like, you don't shy away from the smoke. No. Mate, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I pick and choose my moments though. Like, if I was having this conversation with Aaron Branch, and he was like, you need to do more of that content, man. You need to talk about, the black experience and black culture and this and that. But I've got to strike the balance because of all the, all the organizations I'm working with, reputation. But you'll find I'm not actually sharing that much of my own opinion. I'm just raising the issue. And then people, sometimes they comment and they say, well, you think that. And it's like, well, did you actually watch the video? Because I didn't say that. I just said, what if? So there's two sides of it. There's people that, for example, they'd see something like Black Pounds Project and say, well, why do we need that? There should be a White Pounds Project. But then sometimes I'm in the project and I feel that there is, I'm just going to say, a lack of appreciation for the work that goes into it. And that is coming from the black community. And I don't know where that comes from and why that is, but why do you feel that people may not necessarily... What's your perspective, I guess, on where people are at right now? Where black people are at right now in terms of mindset and...
And again, listen, I'm open for the smoke. I'm open for people to come after me and be like, oh, you have no idea. And I'm sure people will. But this is my experience of the whole situation. I think to a certain extent within our community, there is a sense of entitlement. Bro, you should help me out because we are of the same lineage and culture and all this kind of stuff. And I don't think that people necessarily appreciate the skill, the effort, the time, the energy that goes into these types of things, right? So for example, I've literally spoken at events for free, right? I'll call this one. Dude started late, half an hour late. And I said, dude, I've got a client at 12 o'clock. Should have started at 10 o'clock. We start 10:30. My slot was an hour from when we started. So by the time we get round to my slot, it's I'm half an hour, 20 minutes from my client meeting. So I start my talk, wrap it up really, really quickly. I say, guys, I'm really, really sorry. I've got to go. I've got a client.
That puts heat on you because then it's you're wrapping up.
Exactly, right? The comment section. This is so disrespectful of our time. you're running off to another client. Are we not important? And I'm like, you don't get the point. I'm a business owner. I run a business. I have a lot of free content, but I have someone who's there who is a client.
Yeah.
I can't deprive them of, they paid me money because somebody ran late. I'm here to give you my time for free, but I've got to go to a client. And I think there's a certain sense of entitlement. I also don't think that we are open to paying for services.
Yeah.
Everybody wants something for free.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that is no way to progress. You know, if you think about the Asian culture, white people, they've got a problem.
Pay for services.
I'm going to go find a professional. Yeah, you've got to pay the professional, but guess what? The professional knows what they're doing. They trust the professional. They build wealth. They create businesses because they know that they can't do something and they're happy to pay someone to do it, to be a benefactor in their own success. We don't necessarily have that as a community.
Yeah, and obviously it's not about speaking around about people as monoliths. Like we all have, we know amazing black people. We know there's people that don't do that, but it almost seems like collectively, when when black people are all together, there is that sense of, now you need to do something for me, and what's this, and you know, and I'm speaking as the BPP founder. Like I've set up this shop here for the community. You ask me how many of them have actually come in to sell their products, and I get it. It's a shop. You want to put your stuff in there, but I'm saying I don't have to do this. I'm doing it because I care, and I'm doing it because I want to see us thrive. I want to see us do well. You're in a prime city centre location, but
I think it's all about collective collaboration. And I don't think we necessarily, there's a lot of competition. Right. And I guess to a certain extent we need to be more focused on actually trusting and being able to, yes, give back. Like, I'm happy to spend time with people for free, but to a certain extent, that doesn't pay my bills.
You can't though, because they don't value it. BPP, it never used to be a subscription. There never used to be a subscription model. It used to be, we're going to do the application process. You're going to be assigned a mentor. We're going to have these sessions, which you did a session, and our job was really to get the sponsors, get the funding, you know, and keep the whole ship sailing. But you do the mentorship sessions, people don't turn up. They're turning up late.
I've done that. I've literally opened my doors for, you know, have a discovery call with me. 30 minutes, ask me any question. Like literally, people don't turn up, and it's like, you do realize that you've taken half an hour of my day. You've not shown up because you've been busy. You've not emailed me to say, listen, I can't turn up. But you've basically taken away half an hour of my day, which I could have done something else with and possibly earned some money. The reality is people don't value anything that is free. And that is where the argument comes from, where you have to charge people if you're good at what you do, because they have to value what you're able to deliver as a byproduct.
But one of the things I always get when I do a video, for example, I did the one about when we got the first black pop-up shop at the German market, and I'm getting calls from Colmore saying, look, your people ain't turned up, you know, the store's closed, we're gonna have to take a deposit. And then I'm kind of, I did a post. Obviously, I was feeling a bit down about it, and I said, "Look, what's going on?" I can't remember exactly what I said in the video, but I just said, you know, I think I just said, it's hard helping black people. It's hard. It's a different level of resilience that you have to have, because obviously, I'm not disputing that there are societal pressures. There's stereotyping. There's, you know, racial divide. Like, all these things are very much real, but there is an opportunity for us to do better. And that's all I'm trying to say in my videos. It's like, collectively we can actually do something here, you know. Like, you've got the store, like, just be there. And then it's like, then the store will be open, or people will come into the shop, and because they see that a black person's in there, they'll say, oh, how may I get my stuff in the shop? It's like, well, there's a process. Call this number. I had it the other day. There was a lady The shop was closed. I had to close the shop. I think, no, actually, I closed it at 5. It's 11 till 5. I was filming a podcast on the laptop, and she's knocking the door, and I'm like, closed.
Yeah.
Like, if this was in the city centre, we're in the city centre, but if this was in, I don't know, Selfridges or Top, what's another shop down there now? I don't even know, Moss Bros, and you're trying to get a suit after the
it's closed. You're not going to be knocking the door.
It's over. Like, come tomorrow.
Yeah.
But persistence, knocking the door. So I'm thinking, okay, well, all right, had to stop my podcast because obviously getting the banging on the window. I've gone over and had the conversation. The lady said, I've been told I need to come and speak to you. I said, but by who? She said, well, another member told me that, Black Pounds is doing some really good stuff and I can get some help for my business. And I said, well, tomorrow, like, the shop's closed right now. Like, and she said, no, but it's you that I need to speak to. I said, look, call this number, speak to Denise, the admin assistant. She'll find out exactly how we can help. And then if she then tells you come to me and we have a conversation, there's only one of me. Not 400 members. Like, if everybody turned up to the door and said, I just want a little chat after the time, it's like, so when we're talking about these things, it's just about how can we do better collectively, and it's these sorts of things that keep happening. This isn't a one-off. I get it, it's an opportunity and people want to be a part of it, but you've got to understand it's one time, you've now infringed on my time. I've been polite with you. It
is a lot about having boundaries, though. And I think that's one thing that we definitely need to kind of like be open and very, very clear on. The boundaries are this, okay? These are the times where this is what I will do. These are things that I won't do. This is the service that I do provide. Beyond that, this is what happens. And setting those boundaries, I think, is really, really important. It's important in business, period. Everyone has a free offering. Everyone has something that you pay for. So everyone has a funnel where you get something for free. You graduate into a paid product. So it's the expectation of, okay, I've done this. This is what basically comes next. And it is difficult. I mean, even with what I do now, like, it's a very, very competitive space. And, do I feel like everyone is as collaborative as we could be, given the fact that we're in this time right now where representation is really big in media. They're looking for diverse faces, and there's a number of us doing the circuit, and I think we could work together a lot more closely.
Why do you think that's not happening though?
I don't know. I get this sense of competition of he doesn't like me, and I really don't know where it comes from.
Because we were talking earlier about, we're getting invited to similar podcasts. We're in, even though we're in different industries, we're getting invited to speak, or collaborate with similar people. But do you find that there's a reluctance for people to engage with you if they're in your sector?
Yeah, for sure.
And of your peers as well.
I think it's about firstly this idea that maybe there are only certain number of spots, which I don't think is true. I think there's plenty of stuff to go around, right? Everyone's good at their own thing. I'm good at a certain thing. Another speaker, another person who does something very similar to me will be exceptional at something else. And I think there's enough room for everyone to be able to have their say and gain their own place in the market, if you will, right?
But where is that coming from though? Is it just innately we feel like there can only be one? Or has it been like that historically?
I don't know. I just feel like maybe it's just innately. It's really, really weird, man. It's really very hard to explain. It's like, I've had people block me on Instagram, so I can't see their content. I'm like, what's going on? Like,
people that
we followed each other. No, we follow each other. Then one day I can't even see the stuff, and I'm like, okay, did this person block me, or has he gone off Instagram? So I go into my second account, and I'm like, no, you've blocked me. And I'm like, why? Like why? What's up? I don't understand it. And then
would you approach it, or would you just say, all right, that's how they?
Well, no, I'm kind of like, okay, cool. And I'm like, okay, look. When I look at the situation, we do similar things. We've been on similar shows. We've released books at around about the similar time. And I'm kind of like, I don't understand it, but I'm like, okay, cool. You know what? I wish everybody good luck.
Yeah.
The day that book was launching, pick up the phone. Bro, listen, I know that your book is releasing today. I wish you best luck. Kill it.
Yeah.
We hope you get a bestseller.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, I thought you didn't like me. Then all of a sudden I'm unblocked. I'm like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't understand where it comes from. But, you know, I think we need to get over that.
This is child's play, though. Like, if you think about it, like, we're adults. Like, that's you're launching a book. I'm gonna block it. Like, if we think about it,
mate, I don't know. I mean, look, I have people who want to write books. I'm like, yo, I'll send you my proposal.
Yeah.
I'll send you my proposal. I know it's successful. My book got picked up. I want to help people. I want to collaborate with people. I just feel as though there's this. I don't know whether it's people. It's competition. It's I need to be the guy.
Yeah.
I need to be the person who's front running, and anyone who's competing.
Yeah.
That's it. There's none of this. Let's see how far we can push each other, right?
But I don't find that in the same way with other cultures. Like, it's obviously there. It obviously happens.
Mate, think about Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Bro, in the 80s, those guys, competition.
Yeah.
If you sit down with them both now, they'll be like, yes, I did that movie because of you, but you pushed me to do it. Like, that's what we should be doing. Like, competition is good, right? But you have a choice of whether you make competition a negative thing or a positive thing.
Yeah.
And I think healthy competition in a positive manner pushes all of us to do better.
That's what we're trying to teach in the shop as well. Like, on a more, minuscule level, but we'll put the two shea butters next to each other. We'll put the candles next to each other. We'll put the books all on the same shelf, because that's reality.
Yeah.
When you go into Tesco or Asda, you'll see Dove next to Vaseline, because they're brands that are competitors, but they've been put in the same space. We've got to understand that on just a human level, that actually we can coexist in the same space and have our own unique identity.
And there's enough gravy to go around. It's 100%. Like we're not fighting after a limited resource. There's a lot of money to go around.
100%.
It's like, if you want it all, that's fine. You 100%. Go for it. But competition is healthy in helping you do that.
Would you say the main thing is to really focus on that, I guess, brand identity, that, honing your niche, being able to go into spaces and have that, I guess, degree of articulacy to be able to educate people?
100%. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm very good at my own thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I definitely bring my experience to the fore.
Yeah.
I'm a qualified financial advisor. I've worked with a lot of the instruments that I talk about. I understand them really, really well. That's my forte. I don't go and talk about something I don't understand. It's not me. Like, why would I talk about trading when I don't trade?
Yeah.
Like, there's no point. And I think in understanding your skill set and what your real gifts are, it allows you to be confident in your articulation of it. And I will let you guys into a bit of a secret, right? Look, people often say, oh, it looks effortless and all this kind of stuff. It's not. Like, I put a lot of pressure on myself because I want to make sure that it's perfect. Yeah. Like, doing TV is stressful. Yeah. Like, the prep work that goes into it. People are like, oh, you're so good. It's like, but in my head, like, I'm reading a teleprompter and I'm like, don't mess this up. It's live TV. Yeah. And if I do have a hiccup, I'm like, I beat myself up, right? Because I want to be perfect. I want to put it out there. And I think that's fine. That's natural. That's all part of being professional. It's all part of pushing yourself further and actually developing skills that are going to pay dividends later on. I've learned a lot over the last 12 months, but the articulation of what you do in your own style is the most important thing. Not copying what another guy does, in your own style.
100%. And I think that's really key in terms of, you mentioned my videos. I know for a fact, if I just kept churning out those videos, I would have thousands of subscribers, because people like when I do that kind of thing, but that isn't me.
You know what it is though, right? It's the way you do it. I'm similar to you. I like to call out people's hypocrisy, right, in a really indirect thing, in an indirect way. So people will say something. Yeah. And what you do is you get people, you actually ask the question. Yeah. Think about it. Think about what you just said.
Yeah.
That's the intelligent way of doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a very subtle way of going about it. You're not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
Blah blah. You're like, really?
Yeah.
Think about it, because well, if that was true, then this would surely be true as well. So those two things can't be true.
Yeah.
So who's wrong?
Yeah.
It's the way you do it that I love.
But then they will be like, you see, he's talking about, and then they have to reflect and think, oh, hold on a minute, like, didn't really. But I just find social media quite fun, to be honest. I've started to like take it a bit easy, you know, not like that I don't respect how useful it can be, but I literally did a video about fruit. Do you see my fruit?
Yeah, I saw your fruit, yeah. The fruit isn't fruit and it doesn't taste the same, yeah.
Do you know what
That's not necessarily controversial though, so how can anyone be like, you're talking nonsense, blah, blah, blah.
People in the comments saying, just because you're eating too much sugar, you're eating too... I'm thinking, but you don't even know me, like... But bro, the reason I've stopped taking it, I've stopped putting so much pressure on myself, is because that video got me more clients than any other video.
Really?
People went into my bio and were just buying my brand story workbook.
See, I don't doubt that at all. I did a talk on a farm in Wales about 2.5 months ago.
Yeah.
And there was this girl there. She's like 19, 20, fresh out of university, right? And during the pandemic, she came up with this business around hair syrup, like hair nutrients, right? Yeah. She has a multi-million-pound company at 2021. And she goes, her most successful TikTok videos are where they put something controversial, because people just go at it. That triggers the algorithm, which means when people get more and more views, people just go and buy. And it's like, we do it ever so often, here and there, strategically, but consciously. We'll post something where we know people are going to start having a bit of an argument, a bit of a tiff, because the reality is it helps them move product.
But that video I didn't know that was going to be controversial.
The outcome,
The fruit's not fruiting, like it's not sweet. How did that? The two videos that have done ridiculously well is that video and the video of my wife packing Aldi bags. That got 6 million views on Instagram.
Packing Aldi bag? What?
Bro.
Packing Aldi bags?
I need to show you. I don't know if I've got... I'm going to show you now.
Is this the one where someone was complaining about how she was packing her bags or something?
Bro, they were going in at me saying, look, see, you're not... This is why, you know, my husband divorced me, because... This is why I got divorced, because the husband just standing there not helping me pack my bag. I'm thinking, that's nothing to do with me.
That's a big assumption.
Like, that's a very big assumption. It's a very big assumption. But yeah, it was literally, I mean, it was the way that I I had the voiceovers on it as well, just to say like, anyway, let me see if I can find
I feel like I need to take social media tips from you, mate.
It's about consistency though, you know what I mean? You don't just want like 1 or 2 videos doing well, but I realise when I'm not trying as hard, and when I'm just like being the little bit of the a little bit, I don't know what it is, just that side of my personality, I think people resonate more with than when I'm on the camera saying, right, you know, this is how you can grow your following, or this is how you can write a play. Like, people would rather me
turn off.
People would just rather me sit there.
That's really strange about social media, because I kind of get that as well. It's like sometimes I'll just create a video and it's like I don't even put any effort into it.
6 million views on that one.
Everything is
6 million views.
Because I mean, it had the educational aspect to it, I guess, with showing.
So how long was this one?
How long was the video?
Yeah.
Have you ever
20
seen
seconds,
such a thing?
20, that's it?
She is built different.
Bro, that's it?
I think my wife is the reason some
That's it?
But does that not tell you something about social media? That a lot of the time, people are just mindlessly swiping.
Yes.
And they're not really looking for, it's like boredom.
Yeah.
And I actually fall into this where, like, sometimes at night, I literally just scroll till I fall asleep.
You just have to put it down. Like, I've started doing that now. We're going a bit off, but when I get into bed, I have got this bad habit of just scrolling down my phone, and then I'm like, what am I doing? I have to catch myself and just put it down and go to sleep. So yeah, there is this thing of like, scrolling down social media aimlessly, but why is that? Why do we do that? What are we looking for?
I don't know. I think we just got into this space where now it's all about, to a certain extent, mindless scrolling, and because it's just so addictive.
Yeah.
And I think there's an element of curiosity of, what am I going to see that's going to be interesting and entertaining next? And we're just constantly just going and going and going,
Yeah.
waiting for that thing. And because it's so easy to do, you just continue and just keep going, really.
Are you on this new Threads thing?
Yeah, I have joined.
Yeah. I haven't really looked at it.
Yeah, I have joined. It'll be interesting to see how it actually takes off,
Yeah.
if it takes off versus Twitter and
Yeah.
stuff. But I think now we need something different with
Yeah.
social media, don't we? Like, Instagram's kind of
Yeah.
like meh, Facebook's meh.
They're all merging, that's why.
Yeah.
They're all kind of turning into this just real kind of
Yeah.
conveyor belt. So we do need something fresh. I mean, Clubhouse did come, didn't it? But I don't know
What
if
happened to
that's-
Clubhouse anyway? It was all the
was
rage.
popping,
Yeah, like
it was
I'm doing a talk on Clubhouse, and I'm like, okay, this thing's popping
That
off.
thing
Where did it go?
just died. And that's why I'm very reluctant. Like, a lot of people say, just jump onto the latest thing, and like, because you don't want to miss the boat. But I'm always like, I'm just trying to build this up, and it's like, I want to see, because I'd hate to invest all that time and then nobody uses it now.
I focus my energy mainly YouTube, on Instagram.
Because you can just like short form them.
Well, I don't even short form. I don't even do short form on YouTube. My content is mainly long form.
Yeah.
But I know that it's monetized.
Yeah.
It gets me corporate sponsorships. And I monetize from there.
Yeah.
Look, I got the TV show on Channel 4 because I do live Q&As on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And someone just attended all of my live Q&As. And when this program came up, they were friends with someone in the production company who was like, oh, we're really looking for a financial expert. Go check out this guy.
Wow.
That's how it came about.
That's amazing.
So it's like, you don't know who's watching. And that's my main thing. So I focus all of my attention there. And I haven't really done TikTok to a lot of people saying that I'm making a huge mistake with that, but it's a different strategy and it's energy.
Yeah.
It's energy. I'm focusing my energy in what I think is going to work.
Yeah. Well, Pete, this has been, an amazing conversation. We could just probably keep going because I think we've got very similar temperament.
Yeah.
So it's just easy to speak to you. But I kind of round off the podcast by asking if you're, you know what? I normally say 12-year-old self, but with you, I want to say, if Pete was there now from 3 years ago, or was it 3 years ago? Or when you were just thinking about starting this thing up, about 3 years ago?
Yeah, about 3 years ago,
About
2020.
3 years ago, 2020. What would you say to them?
Okay, listen, I'll do both, right?
Okay.
I'll do the 12-year-old because I would go back in time and I would tell him not to stress.
Okay.
Everything's going to be all right. There was a lot of pressure put on me when I was 12 around, I'm the only one in my family born with a British citizenship. So it's like they were telling me from young, you've got to help the family. You're going to be the savior, all this kind of stuff. It put a lot of pressure. I'd tell him, don't worry about it. 3 years ago, when this all started to kick off, I would probably tell myself to maybe enjoy the journey a little bit more and to share more of the journey. That's my one regret.
Yeah.
With everything that's happened, and I go back and I look at it and I'm like, I've had moments where I'm just like sitting there thinking, what the fuck is happening? Like Lorraine, for example. I've grew up watching Lorraine. Then one day I'm on her couch and she's there.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, this is Lorraine Kelly. And then she goes, oh my God, you're amazing. You should come back next week. And I'm like, yeah, you're just saying that for the camera. Go back next week. I've had moments like that. I've had moments where I'm stood next to people in a TV studio. I'm like, oh my God, I've watched you for years. I wish that I shared more of that journey.
Are you asking these people for reparations, by the way? Because when I was with the Royals, that was the first thing people say. Oh, I hope you ask for reparations.
You know
I hope
what?
You ask for reparations.
During the Queen's funeral,
Yeah.
I was in London to shoot some rock spot stuff with my video guy, Tim, right? And it just didn't feel right. Like the mood in the city was not, how are you finding the cost of living crisis, right? It wasn't that at all. So I said to Tim, look, we're here now. I really don't know what to shoot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, should we there were queues of people. So I thought, you know what, we'll just ask people, why are you queuing?
Yeah.
Like, what does the Queen mean to you for you to be in a queue overnight, arriving at 5 o'clock in the morning, knowing you're going to be there all day? Bro, the comment section and I never normally get this on my YouTube channel, the comment section of my YouTube channel. Oh my God, you're one of them ones. And I'm just like, seriously. People are just
They're ready for a war at any time. But listen, it's been an amazing conversation. It's been an amazing, it's been amazing to just see your journey from just the 3 years that I've known you, because, I know that I actually met you. I didn't meet you, sorry. I came across you on YouTube organically. Yeah. And then I said, oh, let me see if he has Instagram. And then that's when I messaged you and you got back to me and you've helped me out. And we're here now filming a podcast in the Great Western Arcade. So, life has a very funny way of shaping things. So I just, I appreciate it.
And I'm going to return the favor for you to come on my podcast as well, because, I think from a business point of view, there's some things to share with people on my podcast as well. So, we'll be doing 100%. That soon.
No, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, brother.
Enjoy the rest of your supermarket.
Cheers, bro. Man. Thank you, man.
So this has been the Breakthrough Artists. Until next time, people, take care. Let's get it. Let's write. It's CJ Wrights.